Unless specifically indicated otherwise, the content expressed are my views only and not necessarily those of Life Pro Asset Management, LLC. The content presented is in no way an investment advice, solicitation, or an offer to sell securities or investment advisory services. The material is provided for general information and educational purposes based upon publicly available information from sources believed to be reliable. I cannot assure the accuracy or completeness of these materials. As such, the information in these materials may change at any time without notice. Reference to these discussions about IULs and annuities or fixed insurance products. Investments on fixed insurance products are different from investments in the stock market. Any guarantees provided by a fixed insurance product cannot be assumed to be guaranteed for any other investment.
Welcome to the Rock My Finances show on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV, where we put the fun in finance. Join Powerhouse Jennifer Joseph, CDFA, CMC, and Private Wealth Advisor, as she collaborates with you to create clarity, control, and confidence with your money, your way. It's not about the zeros, so what is it all about? Let's find out. Now here's your host and weekly friend, Jennifer Joseph.
Hey y'all, I love that song. I don't know why I'm such a rocker. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. Today I am going to blow your mind. I promise you. Even if you know all this stuff, even if you practice it daily, even if you're 100% in, it's always a great refresher. And if you don't know, then it might be completely mind-blowing, but stick with me till the end. I promise it will be worth it. So the topic today is, what does your feelings, emotions, and beliefs have to do with your money? This entire show is going to be 100% my beliefs, my thoughts. So take it for what it's worth. I believe that your feelings and your thoughts and your beliefs have everything to do with your money. And this is what's missing in the financial industry. We literally are missing the fact that we have an emotion tied to our money, our abundance. We could be stressed and overwhelmed when we have to pay our monthly bills. And then when we're putting out that stressful and overwhelmed energy, that's what we're getting more of. I believe in law of attraction, if you've seen any of my other podcasts. So check that out for sure. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I would love for you to be in 100% joy all day long, along with myself. That's never happening right now, right? Like, we are always going to be on that roller coaster. We're always going to have some dips. But if you can say, like I can say, I live in joy and happiness a majority of every single day of my life, if not completely all the time, I want to be able to say that. Now, I can tell you, I have been crunchy this week. I had a dip. I'm not sure what it was, but it was a dip in my vibration, my energy, my emotions, my feelings. And it just happens. I love the dips, and I love that because I know on the other side of it, there's going to be growth. There's going to be another awareness. There's going to be another thing that I can actually release and let go. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So what is an emotion? What is an emotion? Now, there's lots of different beliefs. I did a bunch of different research, and there's different things going on from different people. So I'm just going to share with you my belief so that I can't get into trouble for not telling anybody what anybody said and what book to read and who's who. I'm just going to give you my beliefs. Almost 60 years on this darn planet, and have gone through hell and back. If you don't know my hell and back, check out my previous podcast, Divorce Equals Death, and many others. I've been meeting with thousands of people over the last 20, 30 decades. And so it's not just me, it's what I've accumulated from a lot of people. So I believe that emotions are a sensation that start in your body. Now, emotions occur unconsciously, subconsciously, if you want to say it, and it just happens. Sometimes you could be walking down the street and like seeing a tree. Like I'm looking at my tree out front of my window right now. I love my tree. That emotion brings me happiness. I love that tree. So I did not have to have too much of a thought before that emotion finally came up automatically, right? So we do have things that come up automatically, and that's what an emotion is. An emotion is a chemical release in your body that literally tells your body something. Now, we've all heard of fight or flight, right? So when we're like almost hit by a car or something startles you, you get an emotion. You have an emotion immediately. Before anything else happens, you might startle. So now I've had experience with PTSD and from my grief background and I don't like to be startled. You know how you used to be as kids and you hide around the corner and you'd scare people? Well, that startles me and it definitely makes me have an emotion and react, and all these chemicals go flying around in my body. So what's funny is I'm going to tell you a little story. My son Parker, so awesome. When we were growing up, we used to do at their school. It was called Danny Center back then, but we had a school that Journey and Parker went to, and we had Halloween there every year. And we did a big haunted house, and it was so fun. And when they got to be old enough, they got to be in the haunted house. It was just this really cool thing. So Parker used to sit on the bench, covered up in costume, and sit there and pretend like he was like a mummy or something. And when someone walked by, he would jump up and scare them. And it was the funnest thing. Sometimes it's really, really fun, right? He used to do that on our front porch as well. Like, it was so fun to scare people. I get that. And I also get people with PTSD in our background. If it's Halloween, I get it. I'm expecting it. It's wonderful. But if it startles me, out of the blue, it's not very fun, but it does evoke an emotion, and not just the emotion, but chemical reactions go off in our body that tell us something. And it tells us something based on our history and our past. So we're going to go further into this. Okay. So emotions can be happy, sad, all that. I'm going to show you an emotional scale very soon, but I'm going to tie it to energy. So hang on, okay? F word, you all know my favorite F word, feelings. What is a feeling? How is it different than an emotion? Well, from what I've understood from my wonderful research, emotions evoke chemicals in our body. Feelings actually come from a thought. So we have a thought, and then we have a feeling about our thought. Now, there's different beliefs on that, on what comes first, a thought or a feeling or a feeling or a thought, whatever. So let's just move on because we have it all, right? So when we have a feeling, so now let's just say I got startled. I had an emotion that made me react, right? I like jumped, but then I have a feeling around it like, oh, that's just Halloween. This is hilarious. I'm laughing. That feeling comes from the thought that I put into place of, oh, it's just Halloween. It's just totally fun. And I'm laughing. Let's say we get startled. Unfortunately, if we've had a past or a history and not everything was spectacular, let's say we got hit by a car at one point, or we're in a car accident from a red van or whatever. And we see a red van, or they go by us very quickly. We could get startled from that thought of, when I got hit by a red van, that evokes the emotion and the feeling and all of that. So it's all connected. Then we're going to move on to, what is a belief? This is, again, my belief. My belief is, a belief is just a thought that's thought over and over and over again, and it becomes a belief. I also believe that every thought is still in our body and in our mind somewhere. It never leaves. You cannot unthink a thought. It's kind of like going through school, and once you reach 5th grade, you can't erase what happened in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and 5th. Like, you just can't erase it. It's there. You are who you are. If you've been through a divorce, you can't erase to go back to who you were before the divorce. You can't. Now you've been through this experience. You've been divorced. You know this information now. So now you are divorced. You can't go back and erase it. So every thought that is thought is still in your mind, your body, your emotions. And some people say our bodies have memory, which I believe, because I do feel things in my body from year after year after year. So a belief is just a thought that's been thought over and over again. If that's the case, this is where I come in as your money coach. We need to create new thoughts to create new beliefs. And since I'm also almost 60, I have a lot of thoughts around a certain subject. And so I have to think more thoughts that are going to take the place of the old thoughts if I want to change a belief. So it doesn't happen overnight. And I can tell you it can happen overnight, depending on who you're talking to, depending on who you're working with. There's a lot of different ways that we can shift our lives immediately. I can tell you my clients have a shift within the first 30 days and they're already shifting. And it's just because we're reframing the thoughts. We are creating new thoughts and new beliefs, and we are aware of our emotions and our feelings and what it's affecting our body. And all of that has to do with your abundance as well. Now, I also can say it also has to do with whatever you want in the world. So if you want a new relationship, if you want material things, if you want a better body or better health, all of that is the same. Like we can think one thing about all different areas of our life, and it's still going to give us an energy vibration. Okay, that's next. Hang on. Now we're going to talk about what the heck is energy. Again, my belief, I'm not a scientist, so I didn't have time to scope all that out for you. So you get to do that research on your own. But we are all energy, right? Every living material thing has an energy to it, which means it has a vibration to it. So it is vibrating on a certain level. So I'm going to show you a chart right now of scientifically tested vibrations of emotions, not feelings, not thoughts, not beliefs, but emotions. So this is how we vibrate in the world. Now, if you've seen my other podcast, you've seen Abraham Hicks. I love it. Denise and I geek out about it. Petalyn and I were geeking out about law of attraction, all of that. It's great. Check out the other episodes. So we did talk about the emotional scale. Now we're going to step that up to the vibrational emotional scale. So we all have a level of vibration, and this is tested from what I have researched. I have tested it myself in my own body, which I can tell, like that's just what it is. So if we're going to start at the bottom of the scale here, the bottom of the emotional scale is shame. Shame gives you a number of 20. So vibrations are measured 0 to 1,000. That is the vibrational scale that scientists measure emotions at. So if we don't think emotions matter or feelings matter, that's absolutely incorrect. They absolutely matter because what we put out, we get back. So shame, if that's at 20, you're vibrating very low. Now let's everybody play with me a little bit. If you're going to feel shame somewhere in your body, it could be depression, it could be sadness, it could be anywhere in that yucky feeling, despair, just horrible feeling. What would your body look like? So now I'm doing it. Do it with me. So I'm doing it. So now my shoulders are down. I'm slouched over. Is that a word? Slouched over. My head's drawn down. My arms are just hanging like I'm looking down low, right? That is the vibration of shame, despair, depression, sadness. It's all very low. So as you can imagine, you're very sunken in and you're low. Doesn't that make sense that that is a lower vibration? Next up from that on this scale is guilt. Guilt is number 30. Still very low. However, a little bit up from despair, depression, shame. Guilt is a little bit above that. And if you think about it, guilt requires thought. Guilt, well, they all require thought, but guilt, to me, this is again my opinion, guilt requires a little bit more actionable thought. Because now if I'm going to feel guilty around something, then it's going to be about something that I did wrong, somehow why I am wrong, something why I feel wrong. Like there's some more action to that than just feeling sad or down or depressed or in despair. Because sometimes I can feel that way with zero action. Like I can go into sadness like that. I can go into despair like that. And I'm not having too much action around it. Guilt, I believe, for me, again, my thoughts are a little bit more active on guilt. So the vibration is a little bit higher. Okay, the next one is apathy. That's 50. So as you can imagine, we actually have a little bit more action around that as well, right? Because now we're actually thinking about someone else other than ourselves. So that's 50. Grief. I'm an expert at grief, unfortunately. Grief has been prevalent in my life for 30 years. I lost my children 30 years ago, actually, when I was 29 years old. So I do grief, and I do grief in my determination very well because I'm still standing. And I became a certified grief counselor as well as my give back. And so any parents who've lost children, I'm their girl, because I go with them to the funerals. I help them do everything from the day moment one all the way through the first year to be able to help them out. Grief is grief, period. It doesn't matter what is bringing the grief on. It doesn't matter, because each person has individual, unique emotions and feelings around this grief. My grief can be very different than someone else's grief. I literally met a woman, and she had lost 9 very close people in her life over the last 5 to 6 years. That is incredible amount of loss and sadness and grief. So it doesn't matter, and we can't compare. So never compare griefs. Grief is grief. That's at a level of 75. Again, in my thought, more thoughts are in action around grief because you're missing something. You're sad about something. Something is not in your life any longer. It could be raising a great child, at least, and you have a vision of their life and they take a different path. You have to grieve that vision that you have. It could be of obviously losing homes, like in 2010, I lost my rentals. It could be losing the net assets that I showed on paper. A divorce, of course, is always grief. Losing a pet, a spouse, a friend, children. Just grief in the pandemic has been rampant. So that is at a level 75. Next up from that is fear. Fear is at 100. This is where most people live, is under fear. And if you've talked to anybody and they're still worried about wearing masks, and they're still worried about anything that, if you have alerts on your phone for natural disasters or Nextdoor. I have Nextdoor, and I can't even go into Nextdoor anymore because every single thing is about something bad happening. And I don't even watch the news because I'm keeping my vibration high. And so when you have that fear base all around you, watching the news, political, all the different unrest that's happening in the world, global warming, traffic, anything at all can bring in fear. And if you've had a past, like I have, a childhood, any dysfunction anywhere, any betrayal, any abuse, anything like that, you have fear somewhere in your body and in your experience and in your thoughts. Because remember, thoughts are not ever gone. They're always with us. So there is fear somewhere. So we need to address that. The next place is desire. So now that's moved up a little bit, 125. Anger, 150. If you notice, our society is easy to go to anger. I go to anger quickly. I just had a friend the other day, went to anger right off the bat. And I was like, oh, okay, wait, I can see this is old patterns coming up, because that's not who you are anymore. You're a high vibration person, but you jumped right into this anger. So that means you're jumping into fear. So where is that fear underneath there? What are you really, really worried about? For me, when I jump into anger, most of the time, I'm in fear of not being perfect. My fear is not being worthy, not being the best I could possibly be. I don't want to say perfect anymore, because I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm totally happy with that. But just being thought of as just not a great person. And so that goes to my fear, which triggers that. And then I go to anger. My emotion is anger. When I feel fear, I will see emotion in me. And I'm sharing that with you because this is our job all day long. We have to know ourselves well enough to understand what our emotions mean. What is our lashing out mean? If you've ever gotten really upset over something and then you look at it and you're like, okay, that meant like nothing. Why was I so upset about that? Well, it's triggering something underneath that anger. So we need to look at what's underneath that anger. Most of the time it's fear, but look underneath that and see what that is, because I can look underneath that and say, okay, what am I really getting mad at? I'm getting mad that I'm not the most perfect mother. I haven't done the best job. And then I can bring in my thoughts to change that belief. We can't change the belief until we see it. And this is why coaches are so badass, because we help you shift your beliefs, because you might not even see it. It's stuck somewhere, stuck in there. And so we want to find that. But when we have emotions, that's when we can look, oh, I'm having an emotion. That's great. It's a gift. We love it. We love having, as I call the contrast, or any negative emotions or feelings at all. Sometimes we don't feel that in the moment because we don't want to be mad in the moment. But I promise you, on the other side of that, it's going to reveal something else that we can release. And then we don't have to do that again, because that's the whole point, right? Is to be better, to be better, to be better, to be better, per Abraham Hicks. I love the law of attraction. So anger is easy to go to. Pride is next. 175. So now we're moving up the scale, right? Courage is 200. I feel like courage should be so much more, but courage is at a scale of 200. So you're vibrating at a 200 energy when you are jumping in and doing something that you don't want to do, or you're afraid of doing, you're jumping it into, so you're raising your vibration. I love that. I mean, I read the book Courage to Grieve way back when. It is Courage to Grieve, because you have to feel your feelings. That is not always easy. It's scary to feel our feelings a lot of the time. And I will invite you to get a buddy. Of course, I'd love for you to hire a coach and find an amazing community. However, if you can't, find a buddy, because going into your feelings is scary. When I lost my children and my house and everything, my beautiful friends put everything into a storage for me. They cleared out my house and put everything into a storage. And for me to go through that storage, it was Nicholas's room, Cherie's room, my room, the kitchen, like everything was in this storage. You can imagine it was like, it like brought me right back down to shame because I didn't protect my children. So for me to go to that storage was very difficult. I had to raise my vibration, my emotions, my everything to courage, to have the courage to go through the storage. I still have issues with storage now, and I still have a storage. And so I need to have help sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. I'm always asking a friend to go with me through garages, through storage, because that evokes my triggering of shame and fear and safety and all of that stuff. So I bring a friend with me, and we keep my vibration high because we're not thinking about those thoughts. We don't allow those thoughts to come into our head to trigger a different emotion. So we stay into the courage, like, okay, this is great. We're going to get this done. We're going to sell some stuff. I think the last time Sherry came with me, and we cleared out that whole garage. Oh my gosh, I think she came with me so many times to that last storage. And we just got rid of a bunch of stuff. Like, I need help doing that. So know yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We all need help in this world. We all need help to get to the next level, to be the better, best person that we want to be. So ask for help. I definitely ask for help before I step into something really big. And I know that I have my girls in my corner. You guys hear my Soul Sister series. We talk every day, like we text every day. And so I will say, okay, I'm going in here. I need some support. Jump in, help me out. Juliet's on my episodes as well. I always reach out to her. In fact, today I reached out to her because I had a guest that canceled. So I had to jump into here. And she's like, you got this, you got this. Like, we need our people behind us holding us up, right? Neutrality is 250. 250 is just like, you're just even. If you can see my screen, it also has colors with this as well. So neutral is kind of like a green yellow. So that's just satisfied in my words. So I believe that if my clients are anything lower than just satisfied, that's my job, is to bring them up to the next level, to go through anger, to go through fear, to go through desire, to go through the courage and get to just satisfied. If I can get you to just satisfied, guess what? It is pie in the sky from there on out, because we're just going to go up higher and higher and higher. Above being satisfied is willingness. Are you willing to step out of your box? Are you willing? My word is vulnerable. I love being vulnerable because I know that I'm here on this planet for a reason. And as my daughter used to always tell me, you're not a soccer mom. Like you're not like, my daughter was a cheerleader and on the dive team and in gymnastics, and being a parent in all of those groups. You can't just sit there and do small talk. How's the weather? That's great. How are you? Like, when you've been through stuff that I've been through, I am not here for small talk. I am here to make a real connection. So guess what I need? Vulnerability. Absolutely. I'm happy to be vulnerable with you to start it off, because I've done it for so long and I'm a freaking master at it. Then that opens the door for someone else to be vulnerable with you back. That breeds and builds an amazing, real, true, authentic connection. And that's what it's all about, is when we are connected, it feels so great and we can raise our vibration together. So willingness to look outside of your thoughts, look outside of what you think is happening, look outside of everything that you've ever known sometimes. Look outside of your wealth. Let's be willing to play the game. What if you win the lotto? That's great. What if you add a zero to every single thing that you have? Add a zero to it. How does that feel? Most of the time, if you're not playing the game all the time and you don't have your money muscle built, you're going to go, oh my God, that stresses me out. So we want to build and create new thoughts and beliefs around all of this. And we have to be willing to do that. We have to be willing to say, I don't know it all. That thought might not be correct now. I am willing to shift my old patterns. I'm willing to shift my own beliefs. And most of our beliefs came from our childhood before we even knew what the belief was. And if we want to change that, we have to look at where those beliefs came. I am not shaming anyone or making anyone wrong parents. I'm a parent myself, and I did not do the best job ever. And I will say that. I'm a great mom. I think I'm a good mom, and I'm getting better and better all the time. However, I wasn't perfect by any means whatsoever. And that's actually one of my fears, is to be a failure as a mom. That's one of my very big fears. So thank you for letting me share that with you. So being willing to look back at those little fears, we can actually change that old belief of, if something happens, doesn't mean I'm not a good mom. It means that whatever it happens to be at the case, but I don't have to take responsibility for everything. Next, acceptance, 350. We are accepting. In our grief, we have to come to the loss, come through it, the fear, anger, and then accept the new reality. After a divorce, we have to accept the new reality. I want you all to give yourself time for this acceptance, because it's exciting. It's really exciting to be able to accept a whole new way of life, or a whole new way of stepping into your being, right? It's awesome. Okay, acceptance is big. Now, I do want to mention acceptance is 350. I've heard that we're getting up to where United States has a cohesive consciousness. I don't know how real this is, but I think we're above 400. I can't remember exactly when. So now we're getting into reality. However, the world is a very different number. So I'm just talking about United States right now. Reason is 400. Okay, we're going to spend a little bit of time here, because we all have a reason for everything, period. And if you think your reason's better than someone else, You will be stuck in reason. If I say, like, we all know, like, this right now, this cup is pink and silver. I have a reason for saying this. I wholeheartedly believe this. I think it's pink and silver. Somebody else could look at this and they could say it's dusty rose and white sparkles. You have a reason for saying that as well. If we are stuck in this reasoning, you will remain at the vibration of 400. And I unfortunately meet a lot of people that are stuck in their reasons on why things are happening. I call this going into story. So when you're talking with someone and they want to share something with you, and then they want to explain why they think, that is because they're stuck in reason. And they don't have the joy and love, peace, compassion, all the rest of the stuff on the upper scale. And they're stuck in, this is why I believe what I believe. All divorces are bad because mine was bad. Whatever it might be. I was ruined, like beliefs. I believe that the children are always going to suffer and they're never going to be happy if they ever have a single parent or whatever it might be. Those are just beliefs that keep you stuck in the reason. So let's take the reason out of your vocabulary and let's just be open to the fact that choosing love instead of reason is going to raise your vibration. Now, let me preface that. If you're in a new relationship, if you're meeting a new coach, like my new clients, I do need to know the reasons why they think everything is happening. Your children, you might want to understand them more. So you're going to ask them about their reasoning behind it. What I'm referring to is someone that is stuck in the reason to where they're not going to look at anything else because this is why, and that's it. And it should be my way. So this is the right way to do it. Like in business, you should make sure that you're on time, make sure that you're everything is perfect. When you say you're going to do something. And when things happen. And if you can't do that, then I'm saying that you're not good at your job. That's mean that your belief behind the reason and you're stuck there. Versus, let me give you a different option. Take a breath with me because I have to release that reasoning. In business, which we all have experienced, especially over the last few years, when you set out an intention to do something and something happens to where it doesn't work, Zoom has to have an update. You didn't get all pages of the document you were supposed to get. You can't log on at the time, whatever it might be. If you can, instead of being stuck in reason, add love to that, give grace to that. That's one above. It's 500. If you could jump up to love, which is where I want all of you to spend as much time possible. From anything below, I want you to at least try to find love. If you can, I call it grace as well. If you can give grace to people that are making you angry, that are aggravating you in business when they're not doing things appropriately, that you think in the timely fashion that it should be done, let's just give love and grace to that. Now, let's all take a breath with that because that ain't always possible. I can tell you that ain't always possible. I try to do it as much as I possibly can. And if you would have met me, 10 years ago, you'd be laughing right now from all the words that I'm saying because I was so not this person before. I'm Virgo, perfectionist, on time, perfect at everything. Are you freaking kidding me? I would have been all over your case. And owned it. I owned it as well. And now I'm like, things happen. Like in my programs, I'm the safe place. Zero judgment, zero shame, zero apologies for anything whatsoever. I am the absolute safe place for my clients because they need that. We all need that. So we want to find love in anything. So let's see. What's a mistake that someone's made or something's happened? Yeah. In business, you don't try to find the word love, right? But we need to find a higher vibration around that. Now, if that problem persists over and over and over and over and over again, our anger starts building up and our fear and all of that, it definitely needs to be addressed. I'm not saying don't address things. I'm just saying approach it from the loving side. Okay, this is what's happened. This is what happened because that happened. And this is what I want. This is what I want done next time. Thank you. Make sure that gets done. You can still be from a loving place, if that makes sense. Now let's take business out of it and let's just talk about walking down the street. This is where I'm not perfect, y'all. So we've talked about my PTSD, right? And I get startled. So of course, I always live down the street from a fire station, which I love firemen, love fire stations, love all of that. However, when the sirens go, it startles me and it's loud. And so I'm going to make it a point not to do that from now on, because the last couple places that I've gone to, I'm down the street from a fire department and I'm jumping more than I need to be jumping. And then as soon as I jump, it's a startle the emotion, right? But then I go to, my firefighters are driving by. That's awesome. They're off to help someone. That's my belief. So I stick in that belief. You can create any belief you want around that, but that's my belief. So that's one thing that can happen walking down the street. I just did it the other day. I'm in LA. I don't know if you know this, but they honk their horns crazy. Like they, because you don't go when the light's green. To me, my belief is it's so disrespectful. And being that I get startled, it really affects that's one of the reasons why I need to move, because I can't, it's literally every time I go out, it's 5 to 10 honks. Like it's just it's like a vocabulary here. I don't understand it. I think it's rude as heck. I don't mind a little toot or a little beep or something when somebody's not doing something. But when all these guys, I'm saying guys, all these people lay on their horns, they're clearly getting out all their anger. So they're vibrating at 150 and I'm walking or driving in my love at 500. Whoo, that just sucks me down. So to be able to get back up to my 500, I have to think of something where thoughts come in that evoke an emotion that brings me joy. My cup brings me joy. Thank goodness my cell phone cover brings me joy. So when I'm in the car or walking, I literally glance at myself. I love this purple. It's just like a gray muted purple, and I love this color. And so I just look at that. Okay, it brings me joy. Sometimes if I'm in line or somebody's annoying or whatever, I'll pull up a video. I'll put on a law of attraction. I'll pull up kitties, pictures, any of my pictures that bring me joy or happiness. We can change the thoughts like that. And if you can stay in that thought for 90 seconds, that's when it shifts and you start creating momentum. So we want to be in love as much as possible. I have my clients actually go throughout their house, and if you pick it up and you hold it and it does not bring you joy, get rid of it. Either sell it on Facebook Marketplace, on, I don't know, my kids sell stuff, all kinds of different apps out there, or just donate it and get rid of it because it has energy attached to it. So if you were to pick something up and it stresses you out, look at where you're at on this number. Where is it? What is it? What emotion is it bringing in? Now we're going to go to joy. Joy is a blast. Okay, we're going to practice right now. Everybody's going to play with me real quick. Okay, you ready? I just told you won the lotto. Woohoo! Like you literally just won the lottery. Oh my gosh. You are going to step into a huge amount of abundance. Even when we're talking about it right now, don't you feel your feelings increase to joy, happiness? You might be laughing at me, whatever it is. It's awesome, right? It feels better. This is vibing high. This is where we want to spend most of our day, because What we put out, we get back. Peace and compassion. Compassion is next, 600. This is very different than sympathy. And we've had this big, long talk about this with my soul sisters, which I'm sure will bring on something somewhere. But peace and compassion is just sending you love. That's it. Peace and compassion. I'm peaceful. I'm compassionate. Like you can see the look on my face, right? I feel very calm. I'm very compassionate. I never know what's happening to someone else and what's others in their life. And so when I can send someone else love from compassion, it feels so good. So that's kind of like give back, that kind of thing. And then enlightenment is 700 plus. That's Buddha. That's intuitive people. That is healers. They live most of their life in that higher echelon. That's meditating. That's getting aligned with yourself. All that great stuff. But I just want to looking at your feelings. Okay, so we'll get rid of that scale, and I want to give you some homework today. So I would love for you to ask yourself all day long, how am I feeling? How do I feel? And write it down if you have to. Keep a feeling journal, like with your money journal, right? Like write it down, see where you're feeling. And do that for like 30 days. We have to understand how we feel. What is the emotion that's coming up? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling worthy? Am I feeling anxious? Where am I at with everything? That's the first step into understanding how you feel. Then we're going to work on clearing these yucky things that are stuck. If we have emotion and we've had lived a life and something's happened, we've had experiences that's created energy in our body, and it can get stuck in our body. It can get stuck in our mind and our subconscious. And then we always revert back to that. So we have to know how we feel. Now we're going to go back, and I have my clients walk down the hallway and open a door on each side of this hallway in this meditation at every age that you're at. This is kind of finding your money story, but you can do it with anything. So the first time I remembered money was probably about 5 years old. And so that's my chocolate chip cookie story, because my dad spent a lot of money on steaks. And that was an issue when it tasted like chocolate chip cookies, because I didn't wash my cutting board after I made the cookies for the first time. So I got a feeling, and I created a belief at that little 5-year-old child that you have to be perfect in order to stay safe and not get yelled at and have rage and be embarrassed and shamed and humiliated and all that stuff. And all my dad was trying to do was teach me a lesson. So I totally get that. However, that 5-year-old girl created a belief that she has to be perfect in order to be loved. And so we want to go back to those doors, and we're going to look in that, and we're going to feel that feeling. I literally had to walk down the street and take the steak to the scary old man's house with the dog and give him the steak. The dog was scary. The man was scary. And I'm crying with my girlfriend, Marianne, walking down the street, having to deliver the steak. That feeling, shame, blame, fear, despair, everything. I felt horrible. I can go to that feeling, breathe into it. Step 2 is to actually breathe into it. The feeling's in my chest, and it's actually black. I put a color to it. So when you have a feeling, put a color to it so you can actually attach it to something. So when I put that color to it and I get that feeling, it's like, okay, now I'm going to release it. Now I'm just learning about chakras, so I'm new about this. However, I attach my root chakra to the earth, and I just breathe that emotion out through my root chakra to the core of the earth so it can burn up and turn around into amazing positive energy. So I'm releasing that energy from that one experience. Now, it's not only just releasing that energy. So I'm releasing that energy. Just breathe into it. You could do it in just a couple minutes, just a little bit of an exercise, but you have to feel it first. Don't worry. You're not alone. We're all with you. Ask your angels to be with you. Then we release that energy. Now we have to fill the void that left in our body with something positive. So you can do it with anything. However, I usually do it somewhere around that experience. So the chocolate chip cookies were positive because I learned how to make chocolate chip cookies that day. And now my belief is joy around chocolate chip cookies. I made them for my kids growing up, their friends, all the time. Like I love chocolate chip cookies and I love to make them. I don't even necessarily eat them, but I love to make chocolate chip cookies. And so I filled that shame, blame, despair experience by releasing it, breathing into it, and then filling it with the joy of making chocolate chip cookies. And as you can see, if you can see my face, I'm so smiling and I so have so much joy about making chocolate chip cookies. And when I do that, it brings me joy. So now I'm vibing high again. So I just replaced that low 20, 30 vibration up to like a 400, 500, 600 vibration with joy, compassion, peace, happiness. And the more we do that, the more our body is going to be walking around in joy and amazing feeling all day long. And guess what? That brings abundance. That's why I said stay till the end, because this is why we're doing all this, is because we all want more. Like I haven't met anyone that hasn't said, I just don't have enough, or I want more. Even if I have enough, I want to feel like I have enough. Like we want that feeling of financial freedom. And in order to get that, it's not just about rate of returns and money and stock market and PE ratios and all that crap. It's actually about how you feel about it all, the F word. So I want to make sure that we can clear the old energy blocks that we have inside of our body, refill it with amazing, joyous thoughts. And all of that is going to bring more abundance to you, I promise. So here's your homework. Think of any experiences that you've had throughout your life. Start as a child. You can do it around money. And now we're just going to open up each door at each age and see if there's a story or a belief or an emotion there that we need to address. Then you don't have to do anything at that moment unless you're feeling called to. Then you go ahead and breathe into that. Feel the feeling. This is where everybody mistakes right here, is because with our new wave, Tony Robbins and everyone visualize it, and it's gonna appear the secret and all of that. We're skipping this step of actually feeling that feeling. I know it's yucky. Again, grab a friend, let them know you're going to be meditating, do it in a community. Of course, hire a coach. That's what I do with my clients, is we go into that feeling together so they know they're never alone. And we feel that feeling together, not for very long, just a few seconds, minutes, whatever you're called to do. But you're not stuck there forever. You're just feeling the feeling. Now we're going to breathe into it and release it. I release it through my root chakra. You can release it to the ethers. If you're a religious person, you can give it to God. Like they say, let go and let God. That's part of it, right? Go into that experience and let go and let God. Then don't stop there, which is what everybody else, all the visualization people, they have you stop there. Don't stop there. Then we need to refill it, that space in our time, body, beliefs system, with something positive and joyous and loving. I go to love and above. So anything from love and above, I'm feeling. Like I feel so much joy and love every time I come on this podcast. Thank you so much for showing up and listening. I love my surfboard behind me. It's a husband and wife that did this in La Jolla, and they created it for me. They had some turtles there, and I said, can you do it in sound dollars? And they said, sure. It's an actual surfboard. So they carved it and painted it for me. I love it. Like that brings me joy. That's like my art, right? And I love to give money to people I care about. I just met them. I thought they were amazing. So now I paid them for their services. So now I'm sharing my energy, because I believe all money is energy. Everything that we do, we're all energy and we're all connected, right? We'll talk more about energy on another podcast. And I'm giving my energy, my money to people that I care about. And I'm hoping, to help them have an abundant lifestyle and enjoy their life and have more joy to them. And then I'm receiving joy as well. So it's a great energy exchange. What you put out, you get back. So if you're putting out fear, depression, negativity, war, the world's coming to the end, the dollar's crashing, whatever, global warming is going to take us over, whatever, crypto is going to take us over, whatever your thoughts are, if you stay there, that's what you're going to get more of. So when somebody says, I believe this, and then they keep getting more thoughts about that, well, of course, because that's what you're putting out. If you shifted that and say, I believe our planet's going to take care of itself, our humans are so conscious that we are going to evoke the most amount of transformation on this planet that anyone has ever seen. And we are going to come up with so many amazing new things that's going to take care of us health-wise, our planet-wise, the water on our earth, everything, our air, everything is going to be absolutely amazing. If you come from that perspective, which is where I come from, you're not feeling that fear. You're literally feeling the joy and love every day. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep coming back. I hope you resonated. I'd love for you to leave comments. I'd love for us to have this conversation to keep going. Thank you all. And I want you to be able to say, I rock my finances.
We appreciate you joining us today, and don't forget to subscribe to the Rock My Finances YouTube channel for more engagement and bonus content. Tell me, what is your money story? Let's find out with Jennifer, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, every Thursday right here on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. It's not about the zeros, it's about the F word, feelings. Feelings Jennifer can't wait to explore with you next week. Until then, let's all say, I rock my finances.